We're just starting out this conversation, and I'm already having a hard time figuring this guy out because it's Matt Lipp. He is lead director of baseball at Turner Sports. He is a director for Turner Sports as well, doing other sports. He says he's a Mets fan, but Matt, I don't see anything Mets related behind you. So what are we doing here?
Well, that's a great question. I got a Mets one I'll show you in a little bit, but it hasn't been framed yet. So I directed the Angels for about 10 or 12 years back in the early 2000s. And I got actually a chance to see Mike Trout come up when he was a rookie. I think I actually directed his first big league game, which was kind of cool. And then the other guys up there, Vladimir Guerrero, I just thought like when he was taking batting practice, the ball just sounded different coming off of his bat. And I just had, and he was a nice guy. He's a good guy. I got to meet him and know him a little bit. Nice guy. And then when we got Albert, that just seemed like a no-brainer for me. So that those are my three Angel jerseys hanging up there. I got a Ron Darling jersey on the hanger over here. It's not in the frame yet. Sorry, Ronnie, but it's going to go up soon. And then I work with Reggie. You can see Reggie's 31 or backwards 31 up there, but I work with Reggie, and he's just one of the all-time greats. He's just a great guy. And off to the side here, you can't see it, but is Chris Webber. I used to work with him as well. So all great people, and just those three Angel ones just were my for my time with the Angels, and just I'd love being a part of that organization and being part of Fox West was doing the games back then. So, but just a great organization when I was with them. So I really enjoyed it, and those were my probably three of my favorite players.
Well, I'm really going to enjoy this conversation as we get this thing rolling. On to something. I'm Bryan Fenley. I call different sports for different networks. And this is a place where we have those on who work in sports media, and we share the personal sides as well, which is so much fun. Usually I'm in a different studio. You might have seen some of the other ones that I've done with your Turner colleagues, Matt. I am in Long Island, New York, about to get married. But, I was like, I got to get Matt on. Like, I'm getting married this weekend, but like, Matt is so big of a deal. And, but just to get him on, this will be a lot of fun. And so, yeah, I am in a remote location, but you have all of these jerseys that you're talking about. I'm just waiting, like, how long is it going to take until you're posting or putting up one of the jerseys of your daughter? And considering, like, how well she is in softball and how well you take stats of her.
Yeah, it's something I've always done since I was a little guy. I'm a numbers guy. I love numbers. And I just feel it's simple for me to do it. Like I enjoy doing it. I love doing it. And it helps me to follow her and see, and it helps her to see how she's doing and things like that. If I could turn this computer around, I got my favorite jersey. I'm going to show it to you.
Yeah, let's see it.
I'm going
I
to
want
show
to
it to
see
you.
this.
Here it is. It's my favorite jersey.
Let's
It's my
go.
daughter's. It says, Dad, thank you for being my biggest fan. I'm always here. I always hear you cheering. Love, Alexis. So that's my favorite jersey. Sorry to all the other professionals, but that was my favorite jersey of all time.
To have that jersey and to be a dad of such an athlete. Look, we're talking about you working in sports and everything you're doing professionally, but then that's not where everything stops with you. So when it comes to being the dad side of being a sports dad, what does that look like underneath the surface?
I feel very fortunate that I get to do what I do for a living. It also provides me some downtime where I can be part of my daughter's athletic career. And she's not just a softball player, she's an equestrian as well. So she is super busy, and I just love being part of her life. It's something that makes me really happy. I love my family; is a great family, and I just love being able to be around and part of it. And I think over the years I've thought about it, and I thought if I worked 9 to 5, like back in the day, that's what people did, 9 to 5. Right now it's a little different, but I wouldn't be around as much, I don't think. When I work, there are certainly stretches that I'm not around. Don't get me wrong. There's definitely, certain times of the year that I'm a ghost in my own house. NBA playoffs, middle of April to the middle of May or end of May, and then October for baseball playoffs for 2 or 3 weeks. So I'm kind of a scarcity around the house then, but it also allows me to be around. This job allows me to be around, other days, which is great. And home. Like I don't necessarily have to go into the office every day, which I'm very thankful for. Thank you, WBD, and prior to that, Turner and AT&T. We've bumped around with owners and stuff, but it's just allowed me the freedom to be a family man and a father, and to be the best one I can try to be.
How does having all that family time and being home and that appreciation for being with your wife and your child, how does that make you a better director?
I think being around when I'm around is great, but when I leave, I know what's going to happen. Like I don't have any questions. I know what my wife's going to do for the most part. And I love her. She's been great. She's a rock. She drives this family. But it just gives me a sense of peace. Like I know what's happening and I know the day to day. So I don't have to wonder what's going on. You know, it's school, it's horses, it's softball, it's friends, it's all that stuff. And I'm very at peace when I'm on the road because I know everything at home is being taken care of well.
Everything certainly taken care of well, and you've taken care well of your career. And one of the things that I was listening to you, and you did an interview, and this resonated so much to me. And one of the things that I wanted to point out, and I admire so much, is that you talked about how hard it was for you as a self-starter. As like, sure, you mentioned there were some mentors that were there for you at the very beginning, but nothing came easy for you. And I look at what you have given to the industry compared to what was given to you. And it's like a lot to not a whole lot. But the way that you made that work, how did you do that?
You know, it's funny in this business. There's some people who have family and they can bring them along and that kind of stuff. I um I didn't have that luxury, and I really didn't know what I wanted to do growing up. I had no idea. I love sports. It was something I played in high school. I played in college, and it's something that I just loved. Um, and when I kind of fell into this business, it just kind of it hit me. Like I just remember it just hit me and I thought like this is the coolest job I could have. Like I remember listening on headsets, hearing the people in the truck going, you know, ready one, take one, ready three, take three. And I just thought like that's what I want to do. It was a whole mystery language. It was something so different and so not normal, right? So I felt like that was something was really cool. And when I started doing more and more, I had certain people help me along the way in positions, not very many, but I just felt like I wanted to always give back. So when I leave Turner or WBD, I want to leave it in a better shape than when I got there. And I wasn't in a bad shape when I got there, but I want to help people to get where they want to be. I want to help the graphics people get to be ADs and the ADs get to be producers or directors. And I just feel like if I can help people along the way to get where they want to be, then I've done something. I've helped people. And that's something I didn't have a lot of people helping me. I kind of had to break the doors down and I had to be known on my own. So that was my reasoning for that. I just want to leave. I want to help people get to where they want to be and do what they want to do. I'm not going to direct forever, and I'm not going to be in the business forever, but I want the people coming behind me to be successful and have all the tools, you know, that they can to be successful. And if I can help them in any way, that's what I want to do.
Even though you mentioned like you had some help along the way, but obviously there are others that fortunate that they get a little bit more help. But when you think about your start and what you had to show yourself and put yourself out there, how did that forge this work ethic, this dynamic about you where, hey, this is going to just make me want it even more, and I just got to put myself out there even more.
It's very challenging in the beginning because as a new person, nobody in the established business knows who you are and you're trying to make your way. And you have to be good at what you do, or else you're going to work a few shows and then all of a sudden they're going to say, well, we don't want this lip guy anymore because he's not doesn't get it, he's not picking it up or whatever. Um, so I think I had a kind of a come to terms with this business in early in my career back when I was doing graphics for the Padres. And I remember the producer coming to me going, look, you're not getting it. You're not figuring it out. You're just, you know, I'm going to give you another month. And if it doesn't get better, then I'm going to have to look for somebody else. And I remember thinking, man, I'm doing a good job. Like, what does he want? I don't understand. So I would talk to the graphics operator, and we'd talk about it, and then things just started clicking. Like I maybe was giving him more information, more graphics, and more this and more of what the announcers wanted, and being more present during the show. So I think that kicked me into gear and said, you know what, I'm 25, 26, 27, however old I was, and like it's time to be a grown up, for lack of better words. It's time to be a grown up. It's time to start doing things the right way. And I kind of knew there were times when, you're, mid 20s, you want to do all kinds of fun stuff, but you don't, work is work, and you have to do good work to keep working. So I think at that point that clicked into my head, and I just kind of took that mentality the rest of my career up till now.
You got the wake up call, but also I
Yeah.
would think that it's important throughout the course. At least for me, it's been so helpful in having people in your corner that always believe in you. From a morale standpoint, because of some of the highs and lows that can come. So when it comes to keeping that morale, obviously you mentioned having the wake up call, but those people who have been you through and through, how imperative has it been to have a support system, notably, particularly in this career, and to have a longevity in this career?
I think it's important. And again, I'm going to go back to just saying I feel super fortunate. I've gotten to work with some of the best directors in my mind, uh, in my career, and I've learned a lot from each of them. I've learned good things, I've learned some not so good things, and try to take something from everybody and bring it into what I do. Um, I got to work with Billy Webb, the unbelievable Mets director and Fox director, uh, Jim Lynch out in San Francisco with the Giants. Um, I know there's many. Jimmy Moore from ESPN. He's a guy that I just marveled at what he did, along with Webby. Um, but when I got to know them and work with them, coming up in the ranks, I got to become friends with them. And when I would have a bad show, or I would think I'd have a bad show, I would call Jimmy, or I would call Lynch, and or Doug Freeman out in LA, and just talk to him about that stuff. And those guys were, they're a little older than me, and they would just kind of talk me through stuff. And having those types of people is it was unbelievably helpful, because they'd been there, they'd done it all, higher level. You know, Bill Webb's did 20 World Series, and be able to talk to that guy is something I'll never forget. I went to Tokyo with him for a week. We did the Mets Cubs back in 2000 in Tokyo, and just being around him and Michael Weissman, the producer, the former Fox producer, is invaluable. Just you just sit there and I marvel. And I'm still convinced to this day, Bill Webb could turn away from the monitors and he could cut the show without seeing it. He could cut the game. I'm convinced he could do it. And I don't know if people know this, but he would call his own replays for the most part. He'd call the replays too. So he knew everything, and he was just a master. And I love being able to talk to him and being able to talk to all these different people to help me when I was struggling.
It seems like in any TV sports director that or director in sports television, that is, that I talk to, every single one has a nickname. It's almost as if it's congruent. You're in the industry because you have the nickname, or at least that has to be a high part of the resume. Why is that? Because everyone I talk to has some play off of their last name or something unrelated to their first and their last name, but everybody in the industry calls them that.
I think it goes back to just being part of a team. I like, if you're playing on a sports team, they'll call you something, slow poke or whatever, whatever, you know. They call me Lipper for whatever reason. My buddy Andy Reichwald, he produced at ESPN when I was over there. He started calling me Lipper, and my last name is Lip. I'm like, okay, I'm good with that. And then prior to that, people will call me Lippy. Lippy, 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 Lipper, Lipper. So those are the two things that people call me, Lippy and Lipper. Um, if people call me Matt, I'm like, who? I don't who, but so I answer to those three things: Lippy, Lipper, and Matt, and Daddy for my daughter.
And when you're watching her play a softball game, or let's say you're watching her in equestrian, how are you taking that in as a father, as if in comparison to how you would be taking in a sporting event if you're actually directing it?
I try to be a quiet parent on the sideline. I cheer for all our girls. I specifically cheer extra loud for my daughter. But I know the coaches have a hard job in there with the kids, so I try not to give them too much grief or anything like that. I just try to watch and get our team playing as best they can. Um, and in the truck, it's just the same kind of thing. It's just kind of like getting everybody on the same page, making sure everybody's go marching the same direction and knows what's coming. So that's really the best thing how I could describe that.
One of the best things to describe about you too is the persistence. I think that you have to have that in this industry. And I was, again, I referenced an interview that you did a little whiles back, and you were talking about how those who you have helped and are helping in this industry, bringing them up, that how important it is that you see that and you appreciate that persistence that they show in making sure that they're top of mind and that they're on your radar. Where do you feel like you fit into being persistent, and where that sweet spot has been for you personally?
I think I had specific goals when I got into this business. And you said it, you cannot advance without some kind of chutzpah to get you where you want to be. And at first I want to be a producer, and I produced for a while back in California. I did Angels, some Clippers, a lot of college hoops for ESPN, things like that. And then I just got a very fortunate opportunity to slide over to chair to direct. So I think I took the drive that I had to get to the producing level. And when I saw some things kind of starting to shift in our business, I realized that maybe this producing thing, everyone's throwing all this stuff on the producer, but I also like the directing side of it. And again, I just got an unbelievable opportunity out of the blue, and I took it. And then the rest is kind of history. But I kept the same the same desire, the same um, desire to learn and perfect my craft. I just took that from the producing side to the directing side. So I think if you lose that desire, then I think you have to reevaluate where you want to be in what you're doing.
What about that? In that desire, in that persistence comes, let's say, when you're talking about your younger self and you're looking to put yourself out there and connect with others, where there's those on the other side. Some people absolutely love the fight and the grind and embracing, and they want the persistence and they appreciate that. And I love that myself. And then there's some where it's like you have to be very careful. Like, you want to check in, but you also have to be mindful. Am I overdoing it? And so everybody has a preference. Playing that game is something that there's no one way, but how do you feel like is the way to maneuver that, specifically when, like we see on the playing field, athletes with different personalities, everybody that works in this industry has a unique personality.
Great point. And I think you have to figure out the individual you're trying to get with and understand if that person wants a phone call every day, once a week, once a month, once a year. But there is something to be said for continued persistence. You're not going to be forgotten. You don't want to make a pest out of yourself, so you're going to maybe soften the way you go at it a few times. But if you want to succeed in any business, not just this one, and you're trying to break the door down, then I think you need to have that. You have to have it, because if you're just timid and you're saying, "Hey, can I talk to you tomorrow? Is it okay?" They're not going to remember you. You got to tell them, "Hey, man, I'm the person for the job. I know you don't know me, but this is this. I can do it. I know I can do it." And you just have to portray that sense of confidence, whether you believe it or not. You have to get that across. And most people who present that confidence are actually confident. They may not be great at their job, but they're confident they can do it. So I think there's a give and take there. But like you said, everybody's got their own way to go about it, and how I want to be talked to may be different than how you want to be talked to in terms of somebody looking for work. So, and I actually got a call literally 20 minutes ago from a guy who reached out to me last year and in the middle of the season, basketball, hockey season, and I didn't have any. I hire the associate directors, and I didn't have any room for them. And I told them, I said, "I'm putting this on you. Call me in July when the schedules come out, or call me in August." And he called me 20 minutes ago, and I was like, I didn't recognize the name, and I didn't answer.
Yeah.
And I listened to the message, and I'm like, "Oh, that's right." So he did what I asked him to do. I
Yes.
love it. I love it.
The art of, I absolutely love it. I'm with you because you, there is a grind, especially when you've had to create your own path, that you understand like, hey, we're kind of in this together. We're all in a metaphoric foxhole in that we create our own breaks. So what I love about you as we wrap up this conversation, Matt, is that everybody talks about, I mean, timing is important, but people talk about luck. That's for me, I don't think that's a prerequisite for making it. And I think you're a great example of that. And I look at that from your perspective and I say, what is your perspective on that? Because what I love is that you haven't, you've shown that you don't necessarily need it to go where you want to go.
I think you can make your own luck, right? I think it comes with talking to the right people, coming across professionally, getting your ideas across. I think luck can play a big part in it, in this job, in any job, right? It could be, you could be lucky to get a job at Target or anywhere. I know UBS, anywhere. But you can also create your luck. You can go try to meet those people who may be able to help you in the future. So I think it's twofold, right? You can make your own luck, and then you have to continue down that path when you get that opportunity. You get lucky, great, that's awesome. But if you don't succeed at what you want to do, then the luck is going to run out.
Needless to say, I feel very lucky to have you on for this conversation. Matt Lipp, I'm Bryan Fenley. Matt, of course, lead director baseball at Turner. I'm Bryan Fenley, and this is the Honest Something podcast. Matt, thanks so much, man. This was really a pleasure to have you on.
Brian, thank you so much. I'm really glad I did this and I had a blast. So thank you so much.